Alright, hey guys, we are back with this sensational thread. We have made so many videos at this point about this thread. It is the feedback thread. You know, some videos we learned some good stuff. Some videos we talked about some really bad takes, and we talked about it as well. We gave our little opinions. Some people were upset. Some people were on the fence about it. Some people agreed. It's a discussion, it is what it is. But I'm back again. We still have so many pages. I take breaks from this thread, but I always go back to it because it's kind of timeless content. So I thought, why not? Let's go back to it. And we're on to this big post. I'm probably going to stick to just this post for this video because it's so big. But let's see what they got to say. And let's see what people got to say. And we're going to go from there. So preamble, I don't know what that actually means, but okay. So dev starts, I feel that this is important to clarify. Oh, so preamble, like before I guess he says something. This is like a before statement. Okay. So he states, I feel that it is important to clarify a couple of things before going on to respond to the OP. First, this is a personal take on the topic and some related matters. It isn't a company statement, and this will not provide you with a list of final product specifications. I will also primarily focus on things that I have some knowledge of, the single-player campaign. Finally, I may note that if I find a particular feature more or less necessary or likely alongside some thoughts on the why, but that does not mean it is confirmed or conversely excluded/rejected. To add upon that, I have been with this community for over a decade, coming in as a player, continue as a modder, then a modding and global moderator, and now a developer. That is to say, I am aware of at least some of the realities of both sides and hold both dear. With that out the way, I will split the reply into two segments. The first will engage with some of the more abstract ideas and sentiments, while the second will go over at least some of the listed features. That way, people can pick and choose what they want to sift through. Alrighty, so pretty much what he said, again, kind of common logic. He's going to give his opinion as a developer, also as, a modder in the past, as a player in the past. He's going to give his side of the story about stuff that he may know, and obviously this doesn't mean it's confirmed by the company. He's not representing all, like, the company's full voice right here. You know what I mean? He's just giving his opinions. Let me just quickly go back to the first post. I think it's a long post too, but let's see. Yeah, it's a long post with a lot of stuff that people would want. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff here. But let's see what he replies to, okay? Alrighty, so ideas and sentiments. Alrighty, so the player from the original post stated, when Tailwind started the early access, they said that they would use community feedback to bring the game to the level that they and the community expects, and they aim to release in a year, but that's not quite happening. A year has passed, but the game is nowhere near finished. Things the community has complained about for a long time still aren't fixed, while other areas of the game received development nobody asked for. Okay, so obviously about the things that aren't fixed, I'm pretty sure she's talking about sieges. That's kind of the main thing. Maybe stuff that wasn't added yet that a lot of people want is probably feasts, definitely, and diplomacy, but it is being worked on right now. So I get those things are frustrating. I think sieges should have been fixed a long time ago. But the dev stated that it was a much deeper problem. It wasn't actually as easy as it looks to fix, which I know is not a good excuse. I think they still should have fixed it. But the whole other areas of the game received development nobody asked for, that's a dumb statement. I feel like any company, you need to set goals regardless of what it is. Even if you're a company that, takes suggestions of that, you still need to set your goals. You still need to make sure you do stuff right. For example, how can I explain this? For my YouTube, for example, it's a very weird example. Not a lot of people are YouTubers, but as a YouTuber, I have to not only do stuff that the community wants, I also want to develop into, being a more diverse YouTuber, as I want to play different games, or I want to do different topics. I try to kind of intertwine different topics together and different videos together and see what you guys like. And obviously I know what you guys really, really want, and I try to give that as much as possible, but I also try to diversify to grow, to grow bigger, to succeed more, to learn more, and stuff like that. And on the game development side, I'm pretty sure they want to, develop a good game. Well, of course they're going to take suggestions. I take suggestions from comments and from my Discord all the time. But they also have their own goals, stuff that they want to work towards, projects that they want to do, parts of the game that they want to develop. That's kind of normal, And by this statement saying that they're going to take community feedback, that doesn't mean you're going to make the game. You're not the developer. You're just a person who's, is supporting the developer by buying the game, but at the same time, it doesn't put you on the developer, it doesn't put you in that room, if that kind of makes sense, right? But that being said, they do take suggestions, so we've been over that quite a bit of time. But let's see what the dev has to say. I agree that there are plenty of things that can be done to further improve the game. There it is. I agree as well. There are a lot of things that can be done. However, working alongside the community to achieve a desirable level of quality does not, to me, mean that the company needs to follow each and every community request. Boom, 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 boom. Common knowledge. Oh, man. You love to see it. To begin with, there's no one community, nor is there one specific opinion about what features there should be. That is also true. How they should work in detail and which of them are urgency/value. True. Just because some people are very loud and keep spamming the same thing over and over again, that doesn't mean there's an army of people. It usually, especially when it comes to very negative subjects on the forums, it's literally less than 10 people. But they repeat it so much, and they're on every single day, and they keep typing to the point where it seems like there's so many people outraged. It's like 9 people on the forums. I promise you, it's like 9 people on the forums. And that's kind of what he's talking about. You know what I mean? Like there's no way to calculate that. To give an example, the latter is rarely observable in any patch, and that is perceived to tilt more towards single player and multiplayer content than it should. Okay, I don't know exactly what he means by that, but okay. But what he's saying kind of makes sense. Naturally, that does not mean that the broader trends can't be observed or used, but even at that level, they can obviously be quite distinct, even conflicting opinions across different groups of players. So to cut it a long story short, it is necessary for any developer to make choices in regards to what feedback they can and want to use. Not all ideas are realizable, and not all ideas are in harmony. Bada boom, bada bang. A good world example is if you're a very positive person, right? Let's say you're a very positive person. You don't do bad on people. You never wish bad on people. You never try to sabotage people, lie to people. You're a very honest, good person. You have only good in you. And there are people like that. I've met a couple. I've only met a couple in my life that are pure. You know what I'm saying? Like very, very, just overall, not a single hate in their body. You know what I mean? Towards anything. And guess what? Even those people have people who will get in their way, who will kind of, in a way, not like them. And how can I explain this? Even though you are a very nice person, you won't live in harmony. You will still have your troubles. You will still have people who will try to do stuff to you. Bad things will happen to you, even if you put out all good into the world. That's just... It might not be the best example to kind of explain this, but as he states, not all ideas are in harmony. While everything sounds great, putting everything together doesn't always make it great. I don't know if I probably didn't explain it the best way, but yeah, that's just how it is. Probably wasn't a good example, but there you go. This is where a central vision comes into play, which to me describes the abstract principles and preferences of a lead developer which guide more specific decisions. Yes, a leader, a person who's going to make, the tough decisions, who's going to, it's a very weird topic. I don't know if you guys ever thought about this, but I ever thought about this. Like, how I feel like a lot of people would agree with it, but then a lot of people kind of regret it if they're not chosen as the leader. You know what I mean? There's some people who are okay with not being the leader in situations. You know what I mean? Like the older I've grown, I realized that I don't really care about being the leader. You know what I mean? If I can, how can I explain this? When I was younger, I always wanted to win everything, be the leader, be this, be that. But as I grew, I realized that you don't always got to be in the spotlight. You know what I mean? You don't always have to be the person who's first, in line, person who's always telling everybody what to do and all that. Sometimes if you just do what you do, in a good way and it affects people in a good way, and you are a good team member, then that's just as valuable as a good leader. You know what I mean? But yeah, I always think about like, do people need lead? Okay, this is getting really like philosophical, right? But like, I feel like everyone would agree that we need leaders, but then leaders always get like in today's world they either get corrupt or they're just not good or they're just what I mean. It's such a weird topic. I don't know. I'm not gonna get too far into it, but yeah, I feel like when it comes down to it, leaders need to be there, but also good team members need to be there as well. Because a leader who doesn't have a good team, who doesn't have a good team, is it's gonna end up being not a good team, even if the leader's great. You know what I mean? So everything's kind of important in that way. This is getting really off topic, but there you go. So vision is not an exhaustive feature list or detailed description of a final product, and the level of detail can vary widely between vision statements. As MV noted elsewhere, okay, so it's a different player, he said, you could describe a vision broadly like a sandbox mass battle RPG, but there are always personal preferences whether particular features belong in that kind of game. True. There's different opinions, there's different things that you think, that should be in the game, that shouldn't be in the game, and that's kind of where the lead developer comes in and kind of, makes a decision that, the other team members kind of, in a way respect his position and are like, okay, if you think that's the way we should go, then boom, 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 let's do it that way. Dev continues, now I do think that the product descriptions of Bannerlord go into far bit more detail than that. I also believe that most of us have some shared understanding of the core bits of what a Mount & Blade game offers. Yes. Combat, taking stuff over. I would say very minor diplomacy, but I think the main things are combat, like battles, sieges, what's it called? Obviously taking land, you know what I mean? And then all the little stuff in between, but I think those are the main features, really. And Bannerlord covers them to a degree that makes it recognizable Mount & Blade. That is true. If you played Mount & Blade Bannerlord and they told you to choose, guess what game it is, you're playing a Mount & Blade game. That okay? In a way, his statement, yeah, I get it. Then the player, the original poster states, it seems like Terraward's devs each follow their own path instead of working together, following a unified plan based on community expectations. I hope I'm wrong, but that's the impression we get. Yeah, well, technically any dev team, if you have a big game, you don't have all the devs just in one room just working on the same features and then they move on together with the next features. They usually work on different parts of the game always. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have a person who's working on the engine constantly. If it's a multiplayer game, you're gonna have people who works on server performance most of the time. You're gonna have a person who always works on artwork that's in the game, loading screen stuff like that. You're gonna have someone who's always working on the campaign. You're gonna have someone who's always working on graphics. You're gonna have your team's gonna be split up, but that's the whole point of a team. You do different parts to reach a end goal together. You know what I mean? And then the whole working on a unified plan based on community expectations. It goes back to what he said over here. So maybe we should just included this part with this answer, but again, it's hard to really say what exactly the wide variety of the community wants. Obviously people post on the forums and stuff like that, but like I said before, it's a lot of repeat people saying it. I'm not saying those people's opinions aren't important. I'm just saying that again, you can't just put every single thing that the people want inside the game. Well, you could. Don't get me wrong, you could. But at the same time, as a developer, you also have your own decisions to make. And while I agree, a lot more community suggestions should be taken. Not everything, like he said over here, not all the stuff is good in harmony, even though it sounds good in harmony. If that kind of makes sense, right? But okay, so he responds to this. So to clarify, no, developers don't just all do their own thing. Armagon deeply cares about the project and tends to be involved on some level with the vast majority of development. Yeah, you got the lead developers, right? He would be considered that, right? Similarly, community feedback is taken into account but informs rather than makes decisions, which is, of course, not just down to vision, but also mundane challenges. Sometimes an idea that sounded good on paper can't be made to work or has to be pushed back or even dropped due to other priorities. True. Ooh, you guys ready for my next little segue? Next little, branch off of this conversation. So, this whole time management and priorities and stuff like that. Listen, if you're young and you have a lot of free time, try to, I don't mean like to be that guy like, oh, just get into the workforce now or do this and that, but try to like try to do something, you know what I mean? Work on something, whether it's a hobby, whether it's a sport, whether it's, whatever it is, or like a little, business idea you have or a little fun hobby you have, go start it. Because once you get older, well, depending where you live, there's some countries who actually care about their citizens, but most places, this sounded really rough, but most places, once you get older, you realize that it's expensive. It's expensive to live, and most of your time will be taken working. And your priorities, you will have to drop stuff that you wanted to do. You'll have to drop time that you wanted to spend with people just to make money so you can have a roof over your head. And I'm talking from personal experience, you know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are listening are have been through this as well. But unless you come from a very, very wealthy background, well, which you will have more time if you do come from that background. But if you come from, I would say a poor or kind of like, middle class, I guess. I don't know. A little bit maybe less than middle class, because middle class, it's kind of a weird definition. Everybody has a weird definition for it. You're going to have to balance your priorities, and you're going to have to, drop a lot of stuff, especially if you're working on something. And that brings me to my next point. I literally promised you guys that I was going to do part 2 of the whole update, 1 year update video that I was doing. It's a 2-part series, and I'm literally procrastinating. Well, not procrastinating. It's because I have a job now, plus I have a side thing I do, and then the third thing I do is YouTube, and I also have a kid, and yeah, I have to push stuff out the way to make room for other stuff. And there we go. Back to the topic at hand. Look at that branch off. I think that was good. You may not like or agree with all the decisions being made, and not all of them may necessarily turn out to be right or the best ones. True. But they must be made and are made, and from what I can tell, with a desire to create a better game. There you go. Sometimes you will disagree. I feel that part of the frustration comes from the lack of understanding slash certainty. Okay, sir, I don't know why I couldn't read that. Certainty about community feedback. So I'll try to shine some light on the process. To begin with, we gain and process information from players in a variety of ways. The most straightforward ones are probably our dump, uploader, and technical support section. Anything that comes in through these avenues are very high probability to be investigated. Naturally, it isn't just blind activity either. We try to process problems along the lines of prominence so that anything that impacts many players is resolved as soon as possible. Okay, so majority of the problems fixed as soon as possible, like bugs, crashes, all that stuff that's impacting the players so we can't really play. I think this is particularly evident during the first few months of early access when many patches focus on stabilizing the game. Yep. I know there are posts that don't much care for bug fixes or performance improvements, but to me, it was and is the right call to make sure that as many people as possible are able to play the game that they purchased. Boom, boom, boom. Common sense. Common sense. Common sense. What I always say, man, there's a lot of games out there that have so much content but are literally just, in my way, just stuck. And like, they're just stuck in terms of how popular they can actually be by how terrible their like performance is. I think it's a really big problem. There's a lot of those games. I'm gonna talk from my experience, from me playing it before and then just quitting it because of how bad the performance is. If the performance has improved Since whenever I talk about these, just realize that I haven't played a lot of these games, and I literally quit them after I played them for the first time because of how bad it was. For example, I think a game that has a lot of potential and actually still has a very big player base is Ark, the one with dinosaurs and all that. I think it has amazing potential. It just, when I played it, it was so laggy. It was so buggy. It was so laggy. It had so much good content, so much progression, and it's such a cool concept, but it was just so clunky. And I feel like if it was very smooth with all that content, it'd be way better. Or even if it was way smoother with just a little bit less content, it would have been way better. Way better of an experience. Another game, Conan Exiles, whatever it's called. It's based on, obviously, what is it, the movies or the cartoons? The movie, right? And yeah, very cool concept, but it's just buggy. It's just laggy. It was super laggy when I played it, and I feel like it just set it back. It set it back completely, and like, if it's gotten better since then, when I played it was a couple of years ago, then good on them. But still, I feel like if they actually came in and first made the performance the best they could, and then worked on the content, I think it would have been better. But then again, these games are still played a lot. Some people don't care about the bugginess and stuff like that. I don't usually care about it either, unless it's very, very excessive and it ruins my gameplay experience. So that's why. Those are two examples of many, to be honest with you. But those are the two that kind of stick out to me because I really wanted to play those games for a long time. And they just really, put a bad taste in my mouth. But with that being said, I've always stated that I think that improving the game first in terms of performance before adding all the shiny stuff, as I used to say, is the way to go. I think it's the right decision. Even if most people don't disagree with it, I think in the long run they will, even if they don't want to say, actually, my bad for, disagreeing, but I think it's good now. Even though they're not going to admit it, I think that they are going to appreciate they are having a better play experience in terms of performance. Alright, and then the dev continues, the next most apparent avenue is the beta branch, which allows for closer collaboration between developers and the community and has a verifiable led to good feature adjustments. The most recent example comes to mind is the pillaging feature. Patches in general are, of course, always an opportunity for constructive discussion, and so are the releases of our priority statements. Yes, we've gone over them. The single player and multiplayer one just states all the stuff that they are currently working on. Less overt but also important are things like the closed and open tests that are conducted with members of the multiplayer community, as much as our direct lines of discussion with community volunteers, or for instance, the closed testing and workshops we did with some of the modders ahead of the release of the modding tools. Yes, they've done that as well. Oh, I think my heat turned on. Hopefully it's not too bad of a noise in the back, but it's about that time that it kicks in. Alrighty, so he continues, beyond that, both individual developers, of whom not everyone may feel comfortable posting, as well as the community staff, read through and take notes from our various community platforms and other outlets. This is processed both in unconstructed individual discussions as well as regular dedicated meetings where we go over suggestions. Similarly, we also observe in the community discussions that inform our internal prioritization as well. Okay. Again, common sense. Another thing I want to talk about. You ready for the next branch? Bada boom, bada bing. As I've grown older, since I was younger, for example, how can I explain this? So when you're younger, well, I guess some people do it now too. You know what I mean? They've grown up and still do it. But whenever you're texting people or whenever you're emailing people, I feel like people don't know when it's time to end the conversation. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna tell you guys, especially if you're younger, it's okay to end the conversation sometimes. You know what I mean? Actually, a lot of times to end it and then just start a new one later. You don't always have to have this continuous conversation for days and weeks. And I know a lot of teenagers did it. I did it a lot of times too. And I never wanted conversations to end. And I always try to bring up another topic. And it's like a thing that dudes do with when they're younger. When they try to get with the girl, they try to you're gonna text, right? And then, like, when the conversation gets stale, you ask a completely random question to try to revive that conversation from the dirt again. And, like, you might think, like, oh, I just finessed a longer conversation, but in all reality, you just made a boring conversation longer. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So if you do that, just learn to when to just cut it off. You know what I mean? You don't always have to reply to everything. For example, my girlfriend gets very upset when I don't reply to certain stuff. But I've kind of we talked about it, and I kind of explained to her, like, listen, when I text people, I don't even like texting. If I really want to talk to you, I'm going to call you first of all. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing that once you get a little bit older, it's so much easier to call. You know what I mean? I don't feel like typing everything in. You're not going to know exactly how I'm saying it, so you're not going to know how it's going to come out. Let me call you. That's first thing. Second of all, if I text you, it's literally going to be like, hey, you home? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm talking to, one of my boys, like, if I want to come over, or, hey, you available right now? Or I'm just going to call them. That's it. I don't do these texting paragraphs. I don't do this. Nah. Listen, if you really want to be out there and you really want to be commanding, call people. And when you're texting, keep it light. Trust, it works. Trust, it works. Don't be out here trying to get into like these big like conversations like, oh, what do you think of this, or what? Forget about all that. Unless it's important. Obviously, if it's important, if it's an actual discussion you're having, that makes sense. But you know what I mean. Now let's continue. This is such a long video. Oh my god, we got so much more. Alright. Tailwind's community managers can... Okay, so this is the original post again. Tailwind's community managers can rarely confirm/deny any future information, further indicating no long-term plan. That is cap, but I'll explain why. We have this statement regarding plans for single-player and engine, but only seems a list of short-term goals. Now what Bannerlord is supposed to look like when it's done. This may explain the 8 years development and delayed release. If 90 people all work with different goals in mind, you get confusion of work going to waste, causing delays. Okay, first of all, they state in this thread that it's literally stuff that are short-term goals. That's like what their priority is. And what is a priority? It is a short-term goal. Do you know what I mean? Like it's going to be done in the short term. And then when they're done with those, they move on to the next one. They've done 3 iterations of this, by the way. So it's kind of, it's not stating, what's called final plans, or, you know what I mean? It states that these are the priorities. You know what I mean? Let me go back just so I'm not, you don't think I'm capping. Or if I am capping, then I'm going to look stupid. All right, so here we go. We're going to go to single player. Statements regarding. It's time to share another update on some of our current single player and engine related priorities with you. What does that sound like to you? Current and priority. Now keep reading. Beyond that, you will find some of our goals listed here. Please note this includes both broad and specific, as well as shorter and longer term priorities. So as you can see, there's shorter and there's longer. Bada boom, bada bang, man. Look at that. Look at that. There it is. There it is. This is it. Look. It's exactly what's happening. But, what else did he say? What else did he say? And this whole thing of 9 people working with different goals in mind, you get confusion. Again, any development team, you work on different things. Because guess what? That's the whole point of a team. You work on different things to get stuff done. You know what I mean? That's just how it works, And this thing, Tailwind's community managers can rarely confirm/deny any future information, further indicating no long-term plan. Because, when development stuff changes. I don't know how to explain it. Stuff changes, you know what I mean? And they have said stuff that was going to come, and it didn't come. And they've also not stated some stuff that that was coming, and it came, you know what I mean? And it happened. So that's just what happens, you know what I mean? As you go through this development cycle, it's not a straight line. It's a lot of, branching storylines, man. It's a lot of branching, roads. It's never a straight line. But I can kind of see what he's talking about. But at the same time, Not really. And I don't know. I feel like people always want like this very nice roadmap with like these very nice, cool little pictures. You know what I mean, with the bold text and stuff like this. And then they're gonna read this, which is a lot more informative in my opinion, where they also reply to certain questions. You know what I mean about this. And they look at this and like, oh, this is way worse. But I promise you, if you just put this into a different format where you put like three big pictures over here and literally said kingdom and politics improvements, character system improvements, issue and quest improvements, had a nice little picture of something we've never seen before, and then under it had like literally these just copied over. How much you want to bet people are going to be like, oh my god, finally a roadmap, even though this is the same exact thing? Do you know what I'm trying to say? I feel like people are just so, how can I explain it? They're so like ready for like this, like, oh my god, look at it. It looks so cool. Oh my god, we got extra pictures. But and then they completely like talk about this and like, oh, this isn't enough actually. You know what I mean? But that's my take on it. But alright, so the dev states the statements and video updates share a significant portion of the short and long-term goals, long-term works that are actively in progress and have a reasonable degree of confidence that changes made to them during development won't betray the expectations that they generate. To me, this is a healthier approach than oversharing in a way to risk false expectations and thereby increase the very frustrations that are present in this thread and in the OP. True. And they've done this. They have done it, and they have learned. They talked about how ships are going to be in the game, and then it was cut. And that was a feature that a lot of people looked for. I looked for it. I'm kind of upset that it's not in the game. But at the same time, I'm a little bit more, I'm not saying everyone else isn't mature, but I understand that sometimes stuff doesn't pull through. I've lived a little bit of life, and I realize that sometimes, even the stuff that you really, really want doesn't happen, and you gotta just you gotta make the best of it regardless of the situation. So yeah, so they did that before. They overshared. The ambition got ahead of them, which happens to a lot of game developers, which is not an excuse, but it does happen. And now they're deciding to go with this approach, which is whenever they know for without reasonable doubt, like, hey, we're about to drop this or we're about to do this, they make a video about it. And I think it's a good format. I like watching those videos. I like how they show stuff that's already in the game. They show stuff that we haven't even heard of before that they kind of keep secret, which is good. Like, it's another thing that I want to talk about where, like, people are like, I need to know all the secrets. Where is it at? You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, you don't, bro. No, you don't, bro. Sometimes secrets are good. You know what I mean? Good surprise secrets are good. Trust. All right. Now, he continues, we must assuredly... Wait. We must assuredly do have a vast backlog of tasks, but for me, providing a public final feature list while the game is still heavily in development seems like it would be misleading or constrain our ability to make adjustments. Bing, 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 bing. The current method allows us to share some information while retaining the agility to reevaluate our priorities as content is shared and new issues and feedback come up. True. At the end of the day, it is a compromise between competing interests. Obviously, I understand that players want to know more. True, but we already know a lot. They've said a lot. Most companies don't even say this much. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. I followed a lot of companies. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys follow a lot of companies, and you want to see what updates are coming, this and that. They don't come this much, in other communities. Maybe I'm wrong, but show me some, you know what I mean? Show me some proof. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. These were introduced over time, what I think is fair, because it is important to find the right balance between sharing information and prematurely building expectations. That is a learning process. Cyberpunk. Sorry. All right. The man hit a spoiler on us. All right, so spoiler alert. Personally, I believe an opportunity for improvement could be slightly more elaborate statements. I know that a few players were irritated that we retained some prior bulletin points as we updated the single player statement. Of course, this is necessary if the work on them continues, but it may be more engaging if we elaborate more on the status of the work. For instance, the Lord's Hall fight has been with us for a while. At the end of December, we showcased a mission in the video updates. After we were reasonably happy with the prototype, since then we have been working on creating all the necessary scenes for other locations, hooking up the different stages within the campaign context, assault first, and then the Lord Hall fight after, testing it, fixing various codes, and scene related problems, and now we're looking at improving the AI to better handle the close quarter context. So very different stages for development, but still an ongoing work. Okay, so what he states is they were happy with the prototype, so they showed it off. It's been a long time. People think they abandoned it, but in all reality, they're just trying to make it into an actual good thing to put out. It was a good prototype. It worked for that one castle, but now they want it to work for other castles. They want different scenarios, and they want to also make sure the combat's better because it's a whole different combat scenario. Again, all this makes sense. You know what I mean? And there you go. So if you're wondering where that went, still being worked on. Alrighty, last statement. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna drink some water, man. What a video. Alright. Last thing from the OP. But keep in mind that we're just customers and Tail was just a company. One that, to be fair, made millions of dollars by hyping up this early. Listen, dude. I hope that none of the people who make this absolute garbage take of, oh, they made so much money, so they just have to listen to us. I hope that these people that have this garbage take for every other game they play. You know what I mean? Because look. This take can be used for every single game you play, but you just use it for the games that you have a negative opinion of because it works. You know what I mean? But this take of like, oh, well, they made a million, you know what I'm saying? They made millions and millions of dollars by hyping up the game. What's a company supposed to do? What are they supposed to make a statement and say, game's trash, bro, go buy it, bro, come on now? Or should they show you some good stuff to make you excited for the game? Like, I don't understand, what kind of concept is that? You know what I mean? This better not be, hey, listen, dog, I better not find out that this guy right here bought Cyberpunk and gave it a good review. Do you understand me? All I'm saying. Look, hey, all I'm saying. All right, let's move on. So then it continues, they don't have unlimited resources. Their only obligation is to deliver what they gave people reason to believe Bannerlord would be when they advertised it. The customer has a right to what they paid for, but not their wildest dreams. So I have a limited company suggestions in this post to only things within the established scope of Bannerlord, even if it makes it I have limited community suggestions, even if it makes it a very long. Very limited. Come on, dog. Let's keep it. Come on now. Yeah, come on now. And this whole their only obligation. That's not their only obligation. Their obligation is to make a playable game. You know what I'm saying? Like that's an obligation too, and like this whole like to deliver what they gave people reason to believe Bannerlord is. Is it? Okay, it's a hard topic, man. It's a hard topic. Yeah, stuff was cut. You know what I mean? And I know people are heartbroken about it. I get it, bro. You wanted this to be like, you know what I mean? The next gen experience. You know what I'm saying? Wake up, Samurai. I'm sorry, dude. I'm gonna just keep. Hey. Sorry, I'm gonna stop bringing that game up. But listen, and you know, it sucks. You know what I mean? Like I said before, I wanted some of those features too, but it's just like this whole, you know what I mean, entitlement of like, bro, I bought your game, bro. Come on, bro. Make my game, bro. I bought your game. Make my game. You know what I'm saying? But I do get your point that stuff was cut that people wanted, and now you're upset. I get that too. You know what I mean? So, again, it's a hard topic to have. There's pros and cons on both sides, and you know what I mean. There it is. I'm on the line. I'm 50-50 out here. You know what I mean? So before all of you are like, oh, you're defending them again, I'm 50-50. You know what I'm saying? I am 50-50. I agree. I'm also disappointed, but at the same time, they're the developers, and sometimes stuff happens. And as I always say, it is what it is. I'm losing my voice. I have to finish this video. Jesus Christ. Okay, so so Dev starts, this is a difficult topic to discuss. Listen, dude, I'm beyond point. Listen, dude, come on now. Yo, give me a community how much do they pay, man? How much y'all pay, man? Y'all looking for I'm looking for a job, man. I already have a job, but I'm looking for like a third job at this point. Come on now. Fourth, if you include YouTube as a job. I don't really include it as that. But I do put a lot of hours into it. It'll be a part-time for sure. Yeah, for sure. But, okay. So he states, but of course, I agree that one should share and advertise what is in the game. Just see the prior segment. I also don't know the detailed history given that I started working with the campaign in the spring of 2019. So the best I can do is share some of my personal thoughts on the matter. Okay. I do not believe that any of these statements were made with malice intent. I don't either. I think ambition got the best of some people. They had a lot of stuff planned. And unfortunately, when development started, they realized, hey, this is not possible. It's going to make people upset, but it's unfortunately not possible. Sometimes it happens. And then he states, to me, it seems like Terra Worlds was simply trying to engage the community as they were developing the game. Could they have been more careful of what they were sharing? Probably. Look at that. But then it is incredibly difficult to project what will happen over the course of 8 to 10 years. Also true. For example, let's say you're like a teenager right now. Or if you are, for example, right? Or like, okay, so I feel like stuff changes dramatically when you're younger, but then as you get older, it goes a little bit slower. Changes goes a little bit slower. But let's say if you're a teenager, I want you to guess what you're going to do in the next 5 years. You know what I mean? I want you to write it down. I want you to put it somewhere safe. And then in 5 years, I want you to read it. I know this is a long, long task for you to do. But I promise you, you have no idea what's coming in those next 5 years. You have no idea what's coming in those next 10 years. You know what I mean? Oh, if you guys... you don't even know what you look like. Like there's so much stuff that could change. Like, for me, example, like, using me as an example, right? Like, literally just, like, you know, I want to say from maybe... How can I explain this? From when I was 18... to now that I am 24, just those 6 years, I would have never imagined the stuff that has happened. You know what I mean? Like when I was 18, I just graduated high school, and it's just like so much stuff has happened. I moved across the country. You know what I mean? Had no idea that was gonna happen. You know what I mean? I couldn't predict it when I was 18. You know what I mean? I moved across the country. What's it called? I got into a lot of bad activities. I never thought I would be that type of person. It happened. You know what I mean? In terms of my appearance, since I was 18 until now, I went from literally, I had no piercings, no tattoos on nothing. I thought I was going to be, you know what I mean? I was like, I don't believe in none of that. Boom, boom, boom. I literally, right now, piercings I got my ears pierced, nose. I got like 3 nose piercings if you include the bridge. So I got like 5-6 piercings now, and I went from 1 tattoo at 18 to guess. I'm gonna give you like 10 seconds to guess how much you think I got right now. It's counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Did you guess it? I have literally close to 70 right now. You know what I mean? That's just appearance wise, and like the stuff I went through, like life experiences, relationships, just jobs, and just like progression in life. I've hit rock bottom. I went to the top. I hit rock bottom again. I went to the top. All in the course of 6 years. You know what I mean? I literally look. I'm not gonna go into detail, but I literally last year I almost lost my life. You know what I mean? It was something I don't really want to talk about, but literally lost my life, and then literally a couple months later, I realized I'm gonna have a child. Do you know how crazy that is? And would I ever have predicted this when I was 18? No, you know what I mean? Like, stuff happens. I know this is a very extreme example to bring it back to this development, but what I'm saying is, stuff changes over time, and you could, you know what I mean? I had so much goals when I got out of high school, stuff that I wanted to do, boom, 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 and guess what? I don't know where they went, man. I'm a completely different person. It is wild to me. It's wild to me. But there you go. Alrighty, so let's try to finish this up, man. Jesus Christ, we're pushing this. Alright, so he continues. Could they? Okay, so, but then it is incredibly difficult to project what will happen over the course of 8 to 10 years. So they can only guarantee. So the only guarantee would be not to share. True. Could they have used more careful language? Probably, but then I'm pretty sure that at this guy is already at risk to suffer a stroke. What in the world? Oh yes, I'm guessing he talks about all the stuff that the devs have kind of said, right? And let's be honest, even if every sentence was labeled with a work in progress that's subject to change disclaimer, it still builds expectations. True. And it's not really what it is, and it's not really what this is about, I think. Okay, I have no idea what this last sentence is, dog. You lost me here. But, you know, he's pretty much saying, could it have been done better? Of course, but that's hindsight, and, you know, now we're here. And obviously, like I said, so much can change in especially that long of a time. You know what I mean? 8 to 10 years. Bro, that's like 10 to 20% of people's lifetime. You know what I mean? Depending on how old you live. You know what I mean? That's 10 to 20% of people's lifetime. You know what I mean? If they live, you know, a life where, you know, something unexpected doesn't happen. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's a really long time. 8 to 10 years. Bro, imagine getting going to jail for 8 to 10 years. Then it becomes real. Then it really becomes a long time. You know what I'm trying to say? But alright. So he continues, you and many other people care about the game and want to see it the best that it can be, and many of the things listed in this topic are well liked by a number of folks. There is no guarantee that I can give you that they will be in the base game in the way they described some years ago or at all. It is perfectly understandable and that it is frustrating to you. Again, exactly. I agree. It is frustrating. But at the same time, I do want to point out that development is ongoing. That is to say that some of these points, as well as features and content not mentioned here, are yet to be included in the game. True. More features will pop up. To me, our priority must, however, be with properly finalizing the features that are already in the game while we work on introducing new content. True. Finish and keep going. Finish and keep going. Yes. I spent most of Sunday on this, and I need to get some other things done. So for now, I will cut it off here and try to find more time to discuss some of the individual feature/content bits in the future. Bada boom, bada bang. And look at this. Literally out here, bro. I wanted this video to be 20 minutes. But I said I was going to do the full post. And there it is. Hopefully I taught you some stuff about life. Probably not the best teacher. But hopefully I shared something that could resonate. Hopefully, you enjoyed my talk. I like to talk. I don't know. I'm getting old. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting there. You know what I mean? I feel like I got some stuff to say in terms of like wisdom and stuff. But no. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Ask me the question and concerns. Let me know what you guys think about literally anything I said in this video. It's a very long video. I know it's very long, but I like to do these. You know what I mean? I like to keep it short, which for me short is literally like 20 minutes. But here it is, a little longer talk. But yeah, I'll see you boys in the next one. Stay safe.